Sorry.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show, The Strange Reality with Dave Emmons. And tonight's show, we're going to be talking about Three Eye Atlas, in which the internet has been talking about constantly. If you get on TikTok or anything like that, you'll see interviews with Avi Loeb. We're going to be talking about Professor Avi Loeb tonight. And my guest is a return guest, Dr. Robert Gross. And he's worked with NASA. He holds a doctorate degree from Penn State and has worked on several astronaut and space projects studying aircraft, drones, UAPs, and all flying craft within the programs in which he was involved. You can Google Dr. Robert W. Gross to learn about his past projects and works. You can ask questions in the comments section whenever this video comes out, and Dr. Bob or I will answer the questions. Recently worked on Dr. Avi Loeb's Galileo project 2021 to 2023. That's why he knows how Avi Loeb operates and what he feels and what he thinks and actually what he's predicting. Dr. Bob can be found on Facebook or by searching for his name. So don't worry about Three Eye Atlas being a danger. That's what he says, and we're going to be talking about that. And with Avi Loeb, Dr. Avi Loeb, I guess, has gained a reputation for suggesting and outright claiming things could be alien spacecraft, even when there's little to no objective reason to think so. When the third interstellar object, Three Eye Atlas, was discovered moving through the solar system, many astronomers and scientists wondered how long it would be before Avi Loeb claimed it was an alien spacecraft, like Oumuamua. We'll probably mention that too. But Three Eye Atlas evidence and anomalies cited by Avi Loeb is large size, unlikely trajectory. It changes, and I think Dr. Bob just explained that trajectory thing to me, and I kind of thought it was, so it makes sense. Potential for hostile intent, a Trojan Horse setup, risk assessment as genuine project, blue beam conspiracy, financial and technological benefits, recovering in extra intelligent ET intelligent beings, scientific. We already got those. We already got intelligent beings in a glass container, I think. Scientific inquiry and international collaboration. International cooperation from the United Nations to investigate all interstellar things. Dr. Robert Gross, how do you want to start off with that, with Three Eye Atlas and Avi Loeb?
Well, Dave, it's good to see you again. Be on your program. There's a lot that's been happening every day recently, and I've been following it. I have worked with Avi Loeb before. In 2021, I was recruited to work on the Galileo project with Avi Loeb in
I remember
at
that.
Harvard University, and I worked on as a member, a volunteer with the research team there. So I worked for a couple of years there. So I got to know the Galileo project pretty well. And it started out as a very interesting project. And like you were saying, I have had experience. I did work with NASA for a couple of years, and I was recruited astronauts for NASA when I was a special government agent, and I was working with the Department of the Interior, and I learned a lot about the Ares program when I was working with NASA. And for the Ares program, NASA was going to fly from the Earth to the moon. Then they were going to fly from the moon to Mars, and then they were going to excavate Mars.
Mm.
And they knew that when somehow NASA knew that when they got to Mars, their astronauts were not going to be able to psychologically handle some of the things they were going to run into when they got to Mars. And
Yeah.
that's basically what I was trying to help them with. I was trying to mitigate risks for the astronauts, as well as recruit quality astronauts for NASA for the Ares program.
Yeah, you were getting them ready for surprises like buildings and structures that are left behind up there on Mars, or even life on
Well,
Mars, right?
it wasn't that as much, Dave, as it was the whole idea that there were, for example, there was a natural gas on Mars that was extremely volatile,
Mm.
and they were going to need to mine that and bring it back to Earth. And so there were those issues. There were issues about how sound travels on Mars, a lot different than it does on Earth. So astronauts are going to have to adapt to those, to that whole sound thing.
Mhm.
Plus, there was a good chance they were going to find out that there was life on Mars at one time, which puts a whole different perspective about how we think about life in the universe once they would find that information.
Yeah, and keeping up with Three Eye Atlas myself,
Yes.
and you can't help from just looking at the internet and you see all this stuff coming out. It passed Mars, and they said the Mars rovers and three of the satellites around Mars took pictures of Three Eye Atlas, and they said it looks different. They said it looks like a craft. I don't know where they're getting that from. Can you tell?
Yeah, I don't either, Dave, because I've been following it too. And the one thing that I found really odd, talking about taking the photographs as it, from Mars and so forth, was it seemed as when Three Eye Atlas was in sight of Mars, so we could take photographs. Because of the government shutdown, they were not able to take
Yeah,
photographs.
yeah. Hmm.
So there's a lot out there, Dave, that it's just ridiculous, and the people that are putting that information out there are just causing issues and confusing things.
Right.
And
It's
recently, there's been some very interesting things coming out that it seems like, and there's scientists, that are putting this out, that they're really straight shooters and saying things about what's really going on with Three Eye Atlas.
mhm.
And yeah, that's what I think. Your show and things we've talked about, that'd be very interesting just to start, opening up that topic because it's going to get bigger.
Yeah, well, actually, our last show, Dr. Bob, a couple of weeks or so ago, I put it on TikTok and also Instagram, and you got quite a few hits on Instagram. And so we're competing with the people out there that are putting out disinformation and misinformation.
Oh, really?
So you're talking about both disinformation and misinformation. Uh, how do Now? Here's what they're saying too, and I talked to this something I guess I want to get up front, Dr. Bob, is that when this thing changes trajectory and it goes in a different direction, like they said, it's changed. I was thinking that it's off gases that are coming off of it, and it's projecting and it's shooting it one way or the other, just like it would, it doesn't take much in space to project a stream of gas that'll put that thing in a different direction. Am I right there, Bob? Dr. Bob?
Yes, Dave, you are correct on that, and there's a lot of things that are happening. One thing you really have to keep in mind, as we all do, and that is because this object, this interstellar object, originated from a place in another galaxy far, far away. Okay.
Hmm.
It could be following different laws of physics than we do in this part of our galaxy.
Right.
All right. And this part of space. Because remember, the whole cosmos, the whole universe is growing faster. Okay, it's spreading apart and it's accelerating as it's spreading. And as a result, what I found out is that, and this is from other scientists, this isn't just from talking to people on the street, that there's a very good chance that the laws of physics do not operate the same in other parts of the universe as they do here. See, and that's the key.
Right.
And that's one thing I wanted to go through on the show tonight, is that there was a time when I was working with the Galileo project, when the Galileo project first came around 2000, I think it was 2021, and I have a flow chart that I put together that Avi Loeb made a statement about, and he was the head. Avi Loeb was the head of the Galileo project, And he was on a like a YouTube video announcing the new project. And he said that he would only honor current physics for the research that we were going to be doing with the Galileo project. And that really struck me as odd. And it bothered me. And I have that. I'd like to go through that tonight, explain that, because there's a lot of evidence out there that because the universe is expanding and that expansion is accelerating, for years, there's been scientists that are saying that the laws of physics or physics in general and how things operate could be different in different parts of the universe. Mm-hmm. And recent experiments are starting to prove that. So when Avi Loeb said that back in 2021, and I have the tape, I saved the tape, I thought, this is not helpful at all. You have to keep your mind open. And you know, there's things out there that we don't understand because we grew up in this galaxy.
Right. Yeah. I saw where they're talking about, you talk about misinformation and disinformation, and it's conflicting information that inhibits creativity, thought, and decreases the ability to innovatively solve problems.
Right.
Yeah, I think it works the same way in politics and worldwide language. You know, also that conflicting things hold up progress. That's true, and I really believe that, because if you look on the internet, I think right now I'd say about 80% of all these internet shows say it's an ET craft. That's what they're saying, and people are seeing that. But also the government has come out and said, yes, there are UFO bases under the sea, you know, in the sea. They've actually admitted it.
Dave, I really have never heard a government agent say that.
Yeah, there was a senator. I can't think. He's a thin guy.
Yeah, well, but he's not I've never heard a scientist say that. I've heard people say that there are things going on in the sea that they don't understand. But as far as UFO bases and so forth,
yeah, they said the Pentagon admits that. Then they said that it drives the Navy crazy. And actually, Representative Luna, she comes out with a lot of this stuff too, and she says that they're interdimensional beings, and she said they're not like extraterrestrial, but they're interdimensional, but they're also got bases under the sea.
I've been around. Like I said, I worked with NASA and so forth. Never have I heard a scientist or a NASA representative say that.
Yeah, I think you're going to find scientists to be the last ones in line to actually admit it, because they got to have facts. They got to have.
Well, that's what science is all about.
Yeah,
and I know plenty of politicians that do not use the facts.
Yeah, they've used the facts, but
that's the issue that you deal with, especially working with government like I have. You see these things happening, and you have to be very tactful and deal with it. But I've dealt with these things all along. That was part of my job when I was working with the Department of the Interior, was to I would fix things. Wherever there was a problem, I'd go in, find out what the problem was, and I resolve it.
Yeah, even I'm working with this scientific IMEX organization. I'm actually part of it, and I talk about my experiences with UFOs, and I talked about them last night in a show about the sphere that I saw that really blew my mind. Actually, literally blew my mind from the energy. But also, I wanted to say, I said this before on the other show, that if AI or 3I Atlas was going to come here, wouldn't it take a some kind of a wormhole or something like that, or a portal to get here? Like most other ETs do, they come through portals. Wouldn't they do
Well,
that?
again, Dave, it came here from a place far away.
Yeah, no.
But it took possibly 1 billion years to get here.
Yeah, I know, but no ET would come like that. They'd come through a wormhole. They
No,
yeah,
well,
the portal. Yeah.
or they wouldn't come up. There's no evidence yet that wormholes work. I mean, the theory is out there, but there's not, nobody's using it that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we got a secret space program. I don't know what we're using to tell you the truth. I hear about all we do have a secret space program, and we do have craft that we haven't seen. They haven't shown the public yet. They're about 20 years ahead of us, and so those things, yeah, those can be mystifying. That what they
Well,
have, what they don't have.
Dave, when I was working with the Department of the Interior and working with NASA,
Yeah.
I was shown things back in 2000, and this would have been 2006 and 2007 that you wouldn't believe. But it was, I mean, it was technology.
Mhm.
It was very high class technology.
Right.
I was not permitted, luckily I had clearance, but I was not permitted to talk about it for years. But I had seen things that I had seen like robots that looked like humans
Yeah. Yeah.
and
We've
walked
seen those.
and moved like humans way back then.
Yeah.
And I knew that they were flying secret space shuttle missions,
Yeah.
but this was in 2006. And then it wasn't until later that they announced that, yes, there was, you know,
Okay, let's talk about this, Dr. Well, let's talk about the trajectory of this 3I Atlas and why it would change, trajectory. They said now it's coming towards Earth. It wasn't supposed to hit Earth, but now they're saying it's coming towards Earth. That's the latest misinformation, disinformation on the internet. Dr. Bob, could you clarify that?
well, that's the whole thing, Dave, that it's all disinformation out there. Okay, know the difference between disinformation and misinformation is that, like, disinformation, the information is put out there incorrectly on purpose to cause problems. And misinformation is just information that is mistakenly put out there and it's wrong. So there's those two types of things, and that's been used in government and everything else for years. But the whole
So one is on purpose and one is on by accident.
Yes, but they both happen together. See, that's especially when you have the government as well as people in business, as well as people in the public and people that are working for certain organizations. When you have all that going together, that's when you have a real major problem. And that's when all this stuff like that's happening right now takes place.
Right. So so when this thing changes, 3I Atlas changes trajectory, and they've been talking about that, and they've actually admitted that, but actually when it does, it's shooting off gases, right? Is that I'm going to go back to that.
Well, some of
That's
it
what
is. I mean,
changes.
for what they're seeing right now, some of the changes are made because of the whatever the material is that object is made out of. When it evaporates, it causes movement.
Jets.
Okay, and that's basically it. But nobody is 100% sure exactly what it is because it could be a whole new matter than we've ever seen before because the universe, the cosmos is huge, Dave, and it's
Oh,
accelerating,
no,
you know. And so things for years they've said that parts of the universe could be operating with different physics than our part of the universe. Now, not maybe a whole lot of physics difference, but some.
okay.
And so
What you would you kind of help people clear their minds that this thing is not going to hit Earth, Dr. Bob?
it's not going to hit Earth. It's going to be millions of miles away from Earth when it comes anywhere near it. No, but that's why there's a technique that I use. It's called backward mapping.
I was
Okay,
going to get to that, Dr. Bob. You hit it.
okay.
Okay.
But the when I was working with the government, I worked on things like developing national standards for education.
Mhm.
And I used to use a technique called backward mapping to see how I wanted to plan educational programs so that the students would really learn. So it's called either backward mapping or some people call it backward design. I learned it with a man by the name of Jay McTighe. He and I worked together in Maryland. Okay. And what that is, it's a technique whereby you take a scenario like the whole UAP situation, okay, and you tell it in reverse. And by the time you're done with telling it in reverse, the causes for the problems you're having will surface. So what I did for your show as I started developing, now remember, I just started putting this together, but I started developing a backward map that starts with the things that are happening today
Right.
and goes back the whole way to when Oumuamua, remember Oumuamua?
Yes.
And so I'm going to take it back just very briefly. What main incidences happened in those years that are significant parts of this backward map? And then I'm going to point to you what I think is the incident that happened that's causing a lot of the problems that we're talking about right now.
Okay.
So we'll do that real quick. And I have it numbered here.
Okay.
But so if I start, this is all factual information that I've put together. And it's all related to the 3I Atlas event that we're dealing with now.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm calling this potential source of alien misinformation. These are all about alien misinformation that's been put out there. Okay. So I start with potential source of alien information number 8. That's the most recent one. Okay. And that was when happened on October 4th, 2005. And that's when Avi Loeb first claimed that 3I Atlas might be a alien craft.
They spotted
That
it
was,
that long ago? That
oh yeah,
really? I
October 4th, 2025.
I just heard July 1st of this year is when they spotted it. Is that wrong?
No, no,
That's
they,
disinformation.
October. We're in October now,
Yeah,
but they spotted it a long time ago.
really. Yeah.
No, not in the nut. It was, but October 4th, 2025, and that's when the first claim came out that it might be an alien craft,
Uh-huh.
even though it had been spotted. So that's misinformation point number 8. Now you go backwards to 7. We'll go backwards to 1. So potential source of alien misinformation number 7 happened in November of 2023. Okay, and that's when, again, it was Avi Loeb, and he was talking about there was a catastrophe that involved global warming, and it wiped out the human race or whatever. So that was the 7th bit of information that didn't help things any.
Right.
Then back up to the 6th piece of information was on July 11th, 2023, and that's when a fragment of the IM-1 meteor was found in the Pacific Ocean, and they claimed it might have been, an alien object.
Right.
So that was the number 6 event. Number 5 was when there was another fragment of spherical was found in the Pacific Ocean on June 2023, and they said that might have been also a piece of technology, from an alien event. No evidence, but that was just stated and put out there into the public. Then the 4th bit of information was the number 4 was when Avi's 4th unsubstantiated claim about extraterrestrial technology appeared in the form of a paper that he wrote with Sean Kirkpatrick back in March 2023, saying there was a mothership in our solar system
I heard.
releasing, little other ships. Then the third, this is now the most important one, is the third step, I think. And that was when um, this happened in November 2021. Okay. And this is the third most important backwards mapping step. And that's when in the Galileo project, they maintained that its analysis of data, whenever the Galileo project would analyze data,
Right.
they would both their analysis would be based solely on known physics and would not entertain fringe ideas about extensions to the standard model of physics. Now, this policy was reemphasized in November of 2021, and I had the post and a post clarifying the project's ground rules. This was also when the Galileo project at Harvard University announced that it would limit its explanations to only known physics.
Hmm.
So, but that to me, that's the biggest key that's causing all of our problems right now. Because now there's evidence because of these most recent objects that they're not following the same materials and so forth that our normal comets are following. So that to me is the biggest key to all the issues we're having. And then the second source going backwards was the second source of misinformation about aliens was the second interstellar object, which was called 2I Borisov. That was discovered in August of 2019. And basically, they were saying that it was, again, it was some type of technology, and it really wasn't. It was just another interstellar object. And then the number one bit of misinformation happened in 2017, and that's when Oumuamua was discovered, and it was given the number 1I 2017 UI before it was called Oumuamua, and they were claiming that it was, Avi Loeb was claiming it was a solar sail and not just a piece of space,
Yeah.
piece of space rock.
Right. I'm going back to it. You told me earlier, but it took a billion years for it to get from one, I guess galaxy or whatever,
Well,
interstellar.
it would take even if let's say that there was a, a in our galaxy, even in our galaxy, if there was a life on a planet in our own Milky Way galaxy, okay, it would take about 1 billion years for it to get here
Hmm.
to Earth.
Right. And there's no life form or biological form that can handle that many years. Uh,
Exactly.
Tell me something else, Doctor Bob. They were saying that pieces of it broke off. Is that
Of
true?
what?
They did.
Of this recent one.
Really?
No, I'm asking you pieces of which object?
Oh, the Three Eye Atlas. They said it
Okay.
kind of broke off, and somebody said it broke in two, and I said no, it didn't break in two. It's still one massive thing that they're watching. But yeah, they said fragments broke off of it, and either that or his other smaller ships that were coming off of it and riding along with it. That's what you hear on the internet.
Yeah,
There's several smaller ships traveling with it.
but I could say that and never even see it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, but it is probably breaking logically, Dave. It's probably breaking up because of the heat and so forth, and the loss of gases and whatever it's made of. It's probably because it came from a different part of the universe that we live in. It's made differently and it's held together differently, so it's going to act differently. See, that's why when the Galileo project said in their port not on that point number 3 that they were not going to use only they were going to only use known physics. Right now, they're finding out new things every day about our physics.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
if uh, Avi Loeb and the Galileo Project refuse to use anything new about physics, we're going to be way behind. And there's a lot of intelligent people out there that are finding things in small labs and big labs, and they're science based. They use the science, the whole process of scientific discovery. But if you limit yourself to only using the regulations that were established that they were using in 2017, a lot has changed, especially when we're getting things from places that are far, far away. We have no idea how they work.
How they said one time it disappeared around Jupiter. It disappeared for about 20 minutes from their telescopes, and then he said 20 minutes later it popped up again. Uh,
Yeah.
they said that it might have. I guess they're talking about ET engineering, where they kind of jump time, a quantum leap or something, and
Yeah, Dave, that happens naturally because take a look at the orbit that the three eye atlas is following.
Mhm.
It's going behind planets.
Right,
It's going behind the sun.
yeah,
It's that's how it's because of the way it's traveling and the effect that gravity has had on it when it passes larger bodies in space. It's going to be moving at a high rate of speed every time it passes a huge uh, planet or star in outer space. That object's gravity is going to cause it to move faster, and it's moving in an elliptical
yeah, yeah.
pattern.
I'm bringing up things that I see and hear. It's not that I believe them, but I'm throwing
Right.
them out there for you to take a look at them and tell us the truth about them, the scientific approach to them. Now, as this three eye atlas approach,
It's only natural for us to question these things, especially if we don't work with them every day.
right.
But then if people like Avi Loeb says, no, we're not going to look into any new physics that people discover, that's putting us way behind the eight ball.
Yeah. They said it glows in the front, it facing the sun,
Yeah,
and there's no tail on it. Is that true?
no, no. There's is a tail. It's small, and it glows in the front because of the way it's moving and so forth. I mean, it's this is a brand new object, Dave, that no one's ever seen before, okay? That's following different rules because it was made in the part of the universe that's different, way different than our universe. I mean, the materials that are the planets and stars in that universe, wherever it came from, are made of, are different than from the materials in our universe.
Okay, this could be another off-gassing type of, projection that it slows down, goes down to 130,000 miles per hour, and then it speeds up to 150,000 miles per hour. What causes that, Dr. Bob?
Again, I don't know that it's doing that, Dave.
Okay.
But if it is doing that, it could be because there's other gravity mixed in, okay, and other things that it's running into that's causing it to move faster. It could be losing the gases. That's something nobody really knows because this object is like something brand new. It's like someone giving you a car that's made out of some kind of metal that has never been seen before.
Okay, let me go back and throw in another theory that I just thought about. While I was talking about wormholes and portals. Now, this three eye atlas could have taken a portal or a wormhole to our galaxy or to the edge of our galaxy and then pretended like it's been flying for billions of years. Could that
Why would it do that,
I
Dave?
don't know, well, just to trick us, I guess.
Oh,
The
Dave,
Trojan
it's
horse,
this.
the Trojan horse, as you say in here, the scenario that Avi Loeb said.
Well, that true. Okay, but it there's nothing indicating that, or I don't know that an inanimate, well, let's say like a natural object would take a wormhole.
Hmm.
I would say, and I don't know enough about wormholes. Nobody does. Okay, so but Atlas or I was a three-eye
Oh
atlas.
yeah, it looks, yeah,
It got all those numbers.
yeah,
It's here, but it didn't come from here. See, that's the whole thing. We're finally getting visitors that are coming way far away that we never thought that we'd see in our lifetime.
yeah. I that's why I'm throwing all this misinformation, disinformation from the internet at you to to see a response from scientific to response, and I'm seeing that there's a lot of things that you're talking about, and this misinformation, disinformation we get on the internet for clickbait. Now, mind you, I don't do things for clickbait. Everything I try to put out there is honest. Like
Right.
the show I put out last night about my adventures in Montana and Wyoming, that is factual. That is true, and I never lie about anything. And my first book was written on all my experiences also. But now I got enough information to write two more books, so I'm going to start on one, my fifth book. But I'm I could anybody can be easily fooled. It's like their minds can play tricks on them. You were talking about that earlier, about the mind that already has things recorded and archived, and then all of a sudden you're in a position or in the area or the timing, and then it pops out. That's what you're saying about a lot of these experiences. I I think this thing with Three Eye Atlas. Have you noticed that the government, the White House, and nobody talks about it? So apparently it must not be a big thing to them. They already know. They have top scientists that work with them, but you don't hear a peep about Three Eye Atlas out of the White House or out of our government.
Well, that's what bothers me too, Dave. Now, this is why. Uh, Remember a couple of times ago when I was on your show, we talked about Project Bluebeam,
Yeah,
and I had never heard of it before. And I explained to you what I thought was going to happen with the information that the Galileo project was gathering together. Remember, we talked about that
right.
because I knew that the Galileo project had a 3D UAP model repository or depository, I guess they call it, where there were photographs, high quality photographs of what looked like spacecraft already existed.
Hmm.
Okay. And now, allegedly, the Galileo project was using those photographs. And I've seen, you know, they claim there were thousands of those photographs out there that they had. Okay. And they they claimed that they were going to use them to compare them. And once they did find a genuine UAP, once the Galileo project found a genuine UAP out there through their telescopes and cameras and everything that they were allegedly using, once they found it, they were going to compare it using a high-powered computer. They were going to compare this new genuine UAP with photos of UAPs that they had created. There were models of UAPs that somebody with the Galileo project or for the Galileo project had created. I'd seen them. They were out there, and I have emails about them.
Yeah.
Now, what's what have they done with that information? What have they done with those pictures? Now, since no, no, like it's 2020, it's 20, what? This is 2025. I started working with the Galileo project right at the beginning, which was 2021, and their whole one of their goals was to find evidence of genuine UAPs. To
Hmm.
my knowledge, they haven't done it yet.
Let's
Okay, that's four years they've been working on it. They haven't done it.
right.
And they supposedly have experts, but you and I are talking about this, trying to solve it all the time. Why hasn't the Galileo project solved it? And what's going to happen to all those photographs, really high quality photographs of UAPs? And that's why that day that you introduced me, the whole concept of Project Bluebeam, I went, oh my God,
Yeah.
somebody could take those photographs that they already have and project them using some type of holography.
Yeah.
And people, the same people that are out there causing the issues right now would look at that and say, oh my God, that's a real UAP. It would look like it, and probably, up close, even it would seem like one.
Okay, let's talk about some of your other talking points here. Now, the anomalous size 3I Atlas appears to be significantly larger than and more massive. It's the size of Manhattan, I guess they're saying. Do you agree with that size? It's the size of
Okay,
Manhattan?
I didn't hear you what you said at first. You said about the size.
Yeah, but the size, it was significantly larger and more massive than
Right.
the two interstellar things.
Yes.
Do you agree about the size? It's the size of Manhattan?
Well, I mean, it's large, it's extremely large, and that's one of the reasons why it's behaving like it is.
What was Oumuamua? Was it made out of the same stuff that this 3I Atlas is made out of, Dr. Bob? It looked like
I
it.
I doubt it because uh, it. I don't think so, Dave. I mean, I don't know. We never got a good look at Oumuamua. Avi Loeb took a guess, but again, if you think back to those days, there was a lot of discussion. He was saying one thing, and the other scientists were saying another thing of what it really was. Uh, the there was no evidence exactly what it was. We didn't ever see it in time. But the one thing Avi Loeb was pushing, and he put it in his book even, that what a Muamua was, he claimed it was a pretty good chance it was a solar sail from an alien culture created.
Like
And
a
that
scout
just
ship.
isn't.
Yeah, a scout ship. Yes. Okay. Now, after we go from the size, and we had a Muamua, and we had 2I Borisov,
Yes.
and of course that was considered a comet right off the bat. They didn't have questions.
Right. Nobody disagreed too much on that because if it acted and looked like a comet that we know about.
Right. And let's go to now the wow signal that they've been talking about, and you got it in your notes. This happened in 1977 when they got this wow signal. They said that it's coming from the same area that 3I Atlas is coming from. What do you say about that, Dr. Bob?
So
Are,
there was it was not they I they're 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 really looking for reasons to make this into like a type of alien craft.
yeah,
And tied with, I mean, they don't even know what the wow signal was. I've talked to, was it Shostak? And have you ever been to the big array in New Mexico?
yeah. I drove by it. I didn't go in it. Yeah,
Yeah, I tried. Well, I drove by and I tried to go in, but they were like moving those big uh those dishes around. But I talked to Seth Shostak at in when I lived in Indiana. He had a presentation he was doing, so he and I got together and talked. But then, they still don't know where that was from or what it was.
and some of the clickbait stuff on the internet said they've been getting signals from 3I Atlas, and they said that one of the signals where message was that we are friendly, Earth people. We're just coming to help you. So
They, I could, that's not even that creative.
I know, but
It's
they're selling it on the internet, Dr. Bob. That's what they're selling.
Well, they're putting it on the internet. See, this is why I put this whole thing together, with these points to the people to look at and discuss. I'd say the vast majority of the stuff that's out there right now, none of the real scientists buy into. Okay, and even I'm really disappointed in Avi Loeb. I mean, he's really uh, sidestepped science for fame and fortune. And why, I don't know. That I mean, scientists, you don't get into this area to make money necessarily.
Right. If it wasn't Professor Avi Loeb, it would be one of these nitwits on the internet that would start up
Oh
these
yeah.
rumors. Yeah. So they're starting up. I want to read something here. You got scientific counterpoints. Most astronomers and space agencies disagree with Loeb's speculation, arguing that the object is a natural comet. The European Space Agency (ESA) and NASA have stated that its behavior aligns with known cometary physics, and many of its unusual characteristics can be explained by natural phenomena. Other scientists point out that the unusual trajectories and sizes can occur by chance, and that attributing such anomalies to alien technology without stronger evidence is premature. That's what you've been saying all along. I just wanted to read
Well,
the.
I wrote that.
I know you wrote that. That's why I'm reading off your notes.
No, I mean, but there's who people that are really scientists, okay, that they care about science, they're they don't agree with Avi Loeb at all.
Hmm.
I mean, he's working to even there was at one point they were going to do a musical about him, about him finding Oumuamua and so forth. It's he real. I mean, it's a money making scheme. Anybody can get on this.
Can the scientific community come out and chastise Avi Loeb?
They do already.
They've done it already, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there's no, I've been trying to get back. Penn State has a Center for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, where they're really studying UAPs. Okay, and I've been trying to get back trying to get into that group because, as far as I know, and they always have been, they've been real scientists because Penn State has a reputation. And I have a doctorate from there. My doctorate is won awards from Penn State because of the research that I've done. And very few people have worked with like NASA like I have and so forth, and have seen as many UAPs and some up close than as I have.
Yeah.
Now, again, I've seen 8 so far and a couple up close. There's nothing that I've ever seen that indicates to me that they were extraterrestrial in nature.
Have you heard from the scientists from Russia, the scientists from China, or even from Mexico? Have you heard from any of them about this Three Eye Atlas, Dr. Bob?
No.
They're not talking about it then.
Well, I used to work with an organization near the Mexican border where I did research and I did presentations uh, in that area and
Mhm.
for those people. And I've talked with a lot of people, and there's there's a group out there that I mean, I can't even talk about them. I'm not at liberty to discuss them, but I have met people where there's definitely strange things happening out there. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I've
I've
heard about that.
experienced them, but I'm not taking that leap and saying it's from another planet,
Right.
you know. And like I said, I've seen 8 of them. And like I was talking to you a little bit earlier, my theory on this whole thing, why look how big this has gone. People love to talk about UAPs.
Right.
And that's like Carl Jung. Have you heard of Carl Jung?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Okay, well, and he's the one this was back in 1958. Okay, it's probably before you were born, where he
No,
was,
I was born in '49. I was 10 years old then.
oh, I'm only a year older than you. But you Keep in good shape, Dave.
I work out. I work out 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But Carl Jung back then he was wondering why is it that human beings, he said, why is it that they basically need to they why do they seek out, back then they were called flying saucers, okay? He said, why do people seek out flying saucers and make it a priority to experience them?
Mhm.
Okay, and he wondered that as a scientist and as well, I think he was a psychologist or whatever what he was, but he was well known. And this is the research I've been following all along is what it's. Have you heard of like Maslow's laws?
Yes, I've heard that, Maslow's.
Okay, well, one of Maslow's laws has to do with one of like human what humans have to have to feel like complete humans, and one of the needs that Maslow claims is an aesthetic need. You have to have satisfied your aesthetic need as a human. Well, in my experiences with UAPs, okay, the strongest aesthetic experience I've ever had in my life was with a close encounter with a UAP. All right, and then I started studying about what aesthetic experiences do to the human brain. And the bottom line is humans need to have aesthetic experiences, and there's a certain sequence that this experience has to go in, so you grow your brain properly.
Hmm.
All right, so that you can survive, and eventually, when in a few billion years, when the sun fades away, we can figure out where we're going to go to keep the human race going.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's it. If you don't have aesthetic experiences, and that causes, that especially that aesthetic experience, it causes your brain to grow in ways that you need it to grow
Hmm.
to access that information that's in different places.
I know that IMIX, IMIX, the organization I work with, and it's in my LinkedIn bio. I'm working with them, consulting with them. They're a team of scientists. It's a big organization, and they're taking in all the information with UAPs, and they're researching that. And so I've been on a couple of meetings with them, and they seem like a really good organization, very scientifically based and backed. And Mexico has their fair share of sightings and people who see things. Central America too. And I talked to you a while ago about the Bugosphere. The Bugosphere? They said they found out. Dr. Stephen Greer is spearheading this investigation, of course, with the Mexican authorities in Mexico City. And they said that they took a I guess that how old it was. They took a carbon dating, and they said it's 15,000 years old. That Bugosphere, and it was, I guess, it got disabled and fell, and somebody found it, and they said it only weighed 8 pounds when they first got it. Now it weighs about 20 pounds. So it some way or another it gains weight, and they said that they can actually do transcript talking, from Sanskrit, I think Sanskrit, and they can talk that language to it, and it'll respond. So it's kind of far fetched that what they
It's
real
really
though.
far-fetched, but Stephen Greer, I can believe that he's working with that.
Yeah, but they really actually got an actual specimen, and this is a sphere, and it's an actual specimen. So is it real? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything done.
Well,
You know,
every time Stephen Greer's name pops up, a red flag pops up for me.
you think he's working on both sides, huh?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. It's that's another thing. There's tons of people out there that know. Look how many people are worried about what was it, three eye atlas, right? Three eye
Yeah.
atlas.
Hmm.
And it's gonna pass Earth by millions and millions and millions of miles. It's gonna miss it. And yet they have there's enough people that are thinking, well, They could happen, it could happen. And your brain is designed that way, Dave. So it's designed to keep you out of trouble. It loves to look for trouble
Okay, let's go
because
to
it's trying to keep you
yeah,
alive.
let's go to the bottom line on this. Three Eye Atlas is not an ET ship. Is not It's not heading directly to Earth, so it's not going to
Right.
hit us. Okay, so those are things that scientifically, and you're saying your scientific partners are all saying the same thing, that it's not ET and it's not going to hit Earth, and that'll give people comfort. Is that right, Doctor Bob?
Yeah, that's like I think that you're really doing a service to the whole world out there, Dave, by putting this kind of discussion out there. From everything I see, and remember, if it hits Earth, I'm going to be on there too. But but if it's everything, there's absolutely no chance that the way it's going now, it's a natural object. It's just from a different place in the universe than we're used to. So things are different,
Okay, I want
there.
to ask you.
And
Yeah,
and that's basically it.
that gives me comfort too. I wanted to ask you a question about the Bugosphere. I know haven't researched that a lot, but it's out there, and it also gives out signals or whatever that they're tracking. Is it real or not? I'm not sure, but they do have a physical object. Now, the thing that I saw on the 19th of September in Montana was a sphere, also about the same size, probably about 3 feet diameter, and I took pictures of it and I did a show on it, and all the pictures are on that show. And I was hit with energy, and I told you how it sounded: voom, 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 energy. And then there's all kinds of vibrations and low hum, a loud low hum inside my car, and it disoriented me. What could I just want to ask you the question about what could that energy be, Dr. Bob?
Well, David, it could be if it was. I don't know what was it that you saw that had gave off that energy? Was it a sphere?
3 foot diameter sphere, just like the Buga.
3 foot.
Yeah.
Okay, what that sphere could have been any kind of experiment that somebody was working on. Okay, and any type of energy, even sound, will give off pulses like that. I mean, and you're going to pick them up, and especially like you were a musician at one point, right?
Like 42 years, yeah.
So your whole body and your brain is designed for picking up information coming from the outside. You don't even know that you've done that, but all that information is stored inside of you. You're capable of picking up sounds differently. And I did the same thing when I was working like with electronic music. I was you keep working with backward sounds and everything, like the Beatles used to do, the backward masking they used to call it. And it's screwed up my brain a little bit
Right.
because I was hearing things differently.
Right. When I'm in a hall or in some kind of a banquet hall and they got the band playing and there's people talking, I have selective hearing that
Yep.
goes towards the music. I don't hear people talking to me. I have a hard time hearing them at the table, but I hear the music because my ears are trained to pick up that music sound. And you're right.
Yeah.
Musicians
Well,
have
I mean, and that's that and that your brain you as an individual probably since being a musician, I'm just guessing you're prioritizing the music
yeah,
over the talking.
right.
So your brain's going to pick that up. I used to be able to, like when I'd hear sounds, like when I was trying to tune an orchestra, and I would try to use a piano to tune the orchestra with. Instead of just hearing the string vibrating as a whole string and the pitch that was given off by that string, I could hear the overtones above that string on the piano.
Yeah.
And then I'd start to see colors associated, like I was having a type of synesthesia that I thought everybody had that.
Yeah. I thought, well, that makes me a good witness of what I heard coming into the car, like a vroom, 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 vroom. And then
Yeah.
the vibration so I know what I heard, and it was just weird and it disoriented me, actually. Uh, do I think Now, my thoughts are, and it followed me to Idaho. I told you the sphere showed up in Idaho, a state away, you know.
You weren't dropping breadcrumbs or anything.
No, it was following me. And
Okay.
why would it be? It had to be ET. I would have to say Dr. Bob.
Dave, you mean the stuff you're talking? Okay. Yeah.
We're coming to the end. That's why I'm hitting you with this
Oh,
stuff.
well, yeah, but Dave, all these things are connected. Okay. That even like remember what with the thing with the Tic Tacs
Right.
and all that was happening out there in the ocean.
Mhm.
And now the recent research is showing. Now, how did those? They were having some kind of a drill with the planes with no equipment. Okay, with new radar equipment. How did those Tic Tacs know to go where those other planes were?
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, so it's the same type of thing. Uh, Vibration, and you're again because you're a musician, your brain is designed differently. Like I used to tell my students at Penn State, music can only exist in one place, and that's in your brain
Yeah.
because it's just sound and silence organized into meaningful relationships. Your brain organizes it into meaningful relationships. You're never going to be able to escape that.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we're solving all the problems of the world, Dr.
I
Bob.
don't know. It was fun though.
Yeah.
It
So
took my cough away.
yeah, yeah, there you go. So we're over an hour. I want you to tell people, I guess we've already come to the bottom line on 3i Atlas. It's okay, it's safe. We're not going to be hit. It's not ET. And a boogosphere is unknown quantity, whatever it's going on there. We'll find out later on if it's real or not. But the government, our White House and our government doesn't talk about any of this stuff, except there is a committee, and it's a committee on disclosure, and it's Representative Comer and a Representative Luna who are coming out and talking about this stuff. And there was a senator who come out and he was walking on the road. I forget his name. He's a thin guy, older guy, and they asked him questions about the UAPs and UFOs, and he said, "Yes, there's underwater bases." He said, "We know that for sure. We've talked about that in our committee meetings." And he said, "I can tell you that for sure." And it's driving the Navy crazy, he said. So there you go with that. Now, tell us, Dr. Bob, how we can get a hold of your information and how we can find out more about what you're working on.
Uh, Basically, Dave, I've been working on a book that I put together. I try to post on certain site Facebooks. I have certain Facebook sites that I belong to, or my own Facebook site.
Right.
But and lately, they've even been blocking me for some of the information I've been putting out there.
Really?
So it's been tough. But yeah, just keep out. I probably should set my own Facebook page up, but I'm on Facebook, and I think I belong to something like 120 Facebook UFO UAP groups.
Mhm.
So I do try to publish some informative information, not the bogus stuff. So I try to get that out there as long as Facebook allows me to post on there.
Okay. Would you be interested in doing some talking with IMEX and find out what they're doing in Mexico?
I will, but after the show, I'll tell you about a situation I ran into with a similar group.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to end the show, Dr.
This was fun, Dave. I hope we got some stuff.
Yeah, and you being in Chicago, where all the action at, and you got all that white dust floating around.
Oh
So that,
man.
that could be cocaine too, buddy.
Now you tell me.
You'd be high, you wouldn't be coughing, you'd be out of your mind.
I wouldn't even know that I'm coughing.
Yeah, we've been talking to Dr. Robert W. Gross, and he's from the same state I'm from, Illinois. I'm from the other end of Illinois. He's at the top end of Illinois, where all the action is at. I have no action.
Right.
So we want to thank everybody for listening in on the show, The Strange Reality with Dave Emmons and Dr. Robert Gross. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we hope this will help people soothe their minds so they can sleep a little better at night. Thank you, Dr. Bob, and
Thank you, Dave.
listening. Bye bye.